And many of today's young drivers said was their hero or idol growing up, Jeff Gordon. Jeff's a three-time winner here at New Hampshire. How Gordon influenced these young drivers' careers and what Jeff has to say about it when he joins us live in the pit studio on NASCAR Countdown at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Challenge.
NASCAR Countdown, presented by One Main Financial, live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series races 200 laps this afternoon. Drivers gathering for introductions, and shortly they'll cross the stage and make their way toward their cars to get ready for this 200-lap event. Friday morning here at the track, I was emceeing a charity event. A couple of young drivers spoke there, Joey Logano and Trevor Bayne, and they both said the same thing. Their racing idol growing up was Jeff Gordon. These young drivers think of Jeff as a trailblazer. For many, he's now a mentor and an example of how to become a champion.
And the checkered flag waves over Jeff Gordon.
It's Gordon across in first. Jeff Gordon's won it.
That's one racer right there.
Jeff Gordon was one of my favorite race car drivers growing up. I had the Jeff Gordon shirts and all that. That was me. So it's really cool to be out there racing against him. He seemed like he was probably one of the first ones, if not the first one, to really make it at a young age.
Jeff's been an inspiration to me since I started racing, even when I was 10, 12 years old, you know, and he won a lot of races, he won a lot of championships, and he was always kind of my hero.
It's weird because I don't think of him as being old anymore. You know, he's not old, but older. I still think of him as that young Jeff Gordon when I was a little kid.
Jeff Gordon, come on out here. Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver to do it.
I was always the kid. I came in the Cup Series and I was young and doing well. And, you know, everybody always made reference, you know, to how young I was.
You know who you beat, Jeff, in this business?
Well, you know, I mean, these are the best. This is everything I've ever worked for to get to this point.
Earnhardt, Waltrip, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott. The fact that I was able to go and race wheel to wheel with these guys who I had watched on TV was incredible.
You know, I think he definitely got that started for us. He was one of the first guys to do it, and he was successful.
It's getting close to the time where some other young, talented race car drivers get to do the same thing.
Am I dreaming right now?
Doing exactly what you would expect of Kyle Busch, winning.
I remember the first time we got out on the track with him, I was running really well, and I ended up passing him during practice, and I was like, man, that was pretty cool. I just passed my hero, you know, I'm faster than him right now.
You don't think about it at first, but eventually you think about it, man, you know, that's pretty cool. And you're lining up, you know, next to the guy before the race or on a restart. And you're like, yes, these are the guys you watched on TV.
He's just has that legacy built behind him, you know, and so, you know, even though you race against the guy and you can beat the guy sometimes, you know, it's still Jeff Gordon.
And he gets right to the back bumper trying to rattle Kyle Busch.
And the fans come to their feet. They lean on one another. Gordon moves Busch up the racetrack. He'll grab the top spot.
There was only one car here this weekend that could beat me. There it is.
To have talents like that and young kids, you know, growing up, idolizing, you know, me or looking up to something that I did makes me really proud of what I've been able to accomplish in the sport, and it's something that puts a big smile on my face and makes me feel really good about you know, my life and my career.
And the champ, Jeff Gordon, joins us now in the pit studio. Thanks for the time. Your reaction to that?
Wow, yeah, how do you react to that? That's humbling. You know, I mean, somebody dropped off a open wheel magazine today at my truck that showed me racing sprint cars at 14 years old. So I've been doing this a long time, and I've been so fortunate over the years to have great success. But to have, to me, I mean, you heard in my voice at Phoenix earlier this year, I was excited to beat Kyle Busch. And, you know, to hear those guys talk about what it's like to race against me, knowing that they watched what I did, you know, when they were kids. And that's very cool. You know, I love the Nationwide Series. I love what it's all about. I love the talent that it produces. I was once there. And so, you know, these are the guys that the young kids are going to be talking about one day. So that's very cool.
You were 21 years old when you made your then Winston Cup debut that day in Atlanta in 1992. Now when you hear these young kids say you were a trailblazer, Looking back on it now, do you realize how different that was to have somebody that young coming to this level of racing?
Well, I think the difference between what I did at my age and maybe Kyle Busch or somebody like that is that it hadn't been done much, prior to. I think maybe Ricky Rudd was a very young driver, but it took him a few years to really get up to that caliber of being a championship or contending for the championship and the wins. And where for me, I came in at Hendrick Motorsports, one of the best organizations out there, and we were able to have success right away. Now, I didn't win my rookie year. It was, not long after that, guys came in going like Tony Stewart, going to Joe Gibbs Racing, winning races their first year in. So, I think that what I look back on is that Rick Hendrick and the sponsors like DuPont at the time, they took a chance on a young guy that you just didn't see them put you had to earn your way up through the smaller ranks to get to that point. And when I came along, they said, let's take him and put him in, our car, one of the best teams out there.
So essentially what these guys are saying, as Jeff being a trailblazer for a young guy getting there, yes, he was. He was.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, as you look at your career and where you are now, obviously you're closing in on that 85th win. The next number is 105. David Pierce.
Man, every time I see you.
You can do it, man.
Oh, well,
you can do it.
I appreciate the confidence. I mean, I know it's possible, but a lot of things are going to have to line up, that's for sure. But we've got a great car for this weekend here at New Hampshire. We've got a shot at that 85th win. And this year, to me, has been a great year working with Alan Gustafson and this Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet team. They're inspiring me to do things that maybe I didn't think I could do a couple years ago. And so I don't know about the 105. I don't know about the 105, but we've got some left in us for sure.
We were talking earlier about the discussion about mentoring young drivers. Rusty was talking about when you came up to this level of racing, Bobby Allison was the guy you went to for advice, right?
Yeah, and the reason that was, he went to all the short tracks. He always went racing with us all the time. We didn't have to go to them, and he always was there for me. Anytime I asked a question, whether it's about life on the track, off the track, how to set my car up, Bobby was always there for us, and I'm sure you've done a lot with these guys too.
Well, and Rusty, you know how it works. If somebody is willing to come and ask a question, I'm going to give them an honest answer. And that's kind of what happened with Jimmy Johnson. He came to me and said, hey, I need some advice. And I think all the veterans are always very open, to give that advice because it's a future of our sport. And when a young talent comes along, I think you respect it, you appreciate it, and you want to see them do good. Now, once they start beating you, then
that's it. Time to cut it off, right?
Well, that's interesting. You say that. You talk about Jimmy Johnson, and you've been instrumental in his career. You going to do it again? Is there anyone else out there that you're looking at, maybe a young guy, or helping along, or doing what you do with Jimmy?
That's the only thing that I miss about not running in the Nationwide Series. When I was running, I was only running a handful of races back then, but I got a chance to race against Jimmy Johnson. Now, I'd seen him prior to that, and I was impressed, but racing against him impressed me to another level where I thought, you put this guy in my equipment, he's going to do well. And it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty good.
So, I definitely, I'm always keeping my eye open. But I think that there's an advantage of getting out there and racing wheel to wheel with them to see what they're doing and what kind of equipment they're in and how far they're pushing that equipment. Sometimes the equipment makes you look good, and sometimes you make the equipment look good.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see. We mentioned Bobby Allison, so that leads me to your attempt to get that 85th win in the NASCAR
So I can tie
Series.
Bobby Allison?
So, yeah, according to Bobby, according to the record books, you'll move past into third all-time.
I'm a big Bobby Allison fan, so that's fine.
Already won a couple times this season. Got the win at Phoenix we saw back in February. Got this one we're about to see at Pocono about a month ago. 85 looming ahead.
That's unreal. It seems like just yesterday we were getting started at all this and getting our first win. Pocono was a great victory for us. I think it just shows how far along we've come as a team this year. Earlier in the year we didn't have a chance on the bigger tracks, and we've made some huge strides. Now this type of track, I think is one that we can excel at, and we really did a lot of great testing over the off season. We went to Phoenix and we're strong there. We qualified well here, which I think is a big boost for us because we haven't been qualifying as good as we need to. At Pocono we qualified third and we were up front all day long. we're 7th here. I think, and the car feels really good. So I think we've got a great shot at it this weekend.
Get you to hang with us for just a couple of more minutes.
Absolutely.
Got one of those guys who called you an idol coming up in the next segment. We want to talk about that. Jeff Gordon with us on NASCAR Countdown from New Hampshire as we get set to go. When we wrap up here, maybe we'll with Jeff and talking about the broader topic of 100 wins in NASCAR's top 3 National Series. Some people don't like the comparison because Richard Petty couldn't run the Truck Series. It didn't exist until 1995 and so on. Start with you. Thoughts on 100 wins?
Well, first of all, he's an incredibly talented race car driver, and I think what people love about what Kyle does is his passion for racing, and that he will get in any type of race car. He'll do it during the week. He'll go get in a late model stock somewhere, and he will have a shot to win. I raced with him at Eldora a couple years ago in the dirt late model, and he's right up against the wall and hadn't been in those cars much. He's an incredibly talented race car driver. When it comes to the numbers, I don't agree. I know Kyle Petty has weighed in on this as well. I don't agree with them, combining them all, but it doesn't take away, should never take away from what he's accomplished. It's amazing what he's been able to do.
I tell you, the thing that keeps blowing me away is just that this youth movement we got. We've been talking about the younger guys, and that's awesome. But, Brad, I started this thing when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
My very first race in NASCAR when I was 27. This guy's 26 years old right now. And, guys, we're talking about him winning 100 races.
Yeah.
It blows me away.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And what he has accomplished stands on its own. And I think Jeff is right. Whenever you start in any sport, baseball, basketball, football, you start comparing eras and numbers, you get yourself in trouble. What he has accomplished in the Cup Series, he's won 22 races. That doesn't compare to what Richard Petty did in winning 200 races. That everybody knows that. That's obvious. But what he has done on his own right through the 3 National Touring Series, as far as winning almost 100 races, and he will, is absolutely remarkable and incredible. And it needs to be left alone and stand on its own instead of trying to compare them, because they're not comparable, and it's unfair to him to do that. And it's like, who's the next Michael Jordan? Well, there is there's not a next Michael Jordan.
But he has his own place in history.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's a standalone, in my opinion, that it will give that 7-year-old kid out there right now racing something to shoot for as well.
Very nice. And, of course, the number 49, important today, too. If Kyle wins today, ties Mark Martin for all-time nationwide series
So Jeff's
wins.
responsible for Kyle Busch kicking everybody's butt. That's how that
Kyle's
goes.
responsible for the next guy that's going to come along.
Why are you always helping everybody, man?
All right. Got 2 things got to happen here. Go to San Rusty, out to go to the booth to call the race. Go to thank you for the time to come in and talk about it. We appreciate it. Best of luck tomorrow and as you chase this championship.
Thank you very much.
105, baby. Come on, baby. You can do it.
I'm with you. I love it.
All right, next thing I'm going to do is send it down to the grid.